Sometimes back you are the heart of ANC as the Secretary General, and yesterday during the Buhungu Declaration too, we saw quite a number of members of parliament and members of county assembly defecting ANC to ODM and some to Azimio. Would you say that ANC is maybe losing popularity or rather dying?
These are individual politicians, political animals that think about self-preservation first, that assess internal political dynamics and see what the future holds for them in the context of those internal political dynamics. I saw, for example, that the Lugari member of parliament, Ayubu Savula, was blowing hot and cold. He was defecting, and yet he was not defecting. He was saying that he's joining Azimio. He has left you ujinga ya Oka, but he was still a member of ANC. You don't do that. You just defect. And anyway, the media knows that he has defected. They are saying he led people in defecting. When you look at Ayubu Savula, you can see that there is very hot contestation within ANC for the gubernatorial ticket for Kakamega County. There is Cleophas Malala, who was previously very close to Raila Odinga and who was very defiant towards Mudavadi. But he came back and being a very mercurial and gifted political operative and mobilizer, and he certainly has the gift of the gab and the capacity to organize and mobilize, and has become kind of Musalia's mouthpiece. He starts looking like he has one or two cards up on Savula. And Savula sitting somewhere in Lugari and calling himself a deputy party leader, which he is not, sees that this ticket is about to go with Malala. And the question of their ethnicity is thrown into the picture. They try to cast Malala as a Luo from Ugenya, so that could work against him, but he still seems to be gaining traction. Conversely, this other side tries to cast Savula as a Munyore from Vihiga, and they start saying he's not going to be accepted among the rest of the Luya ethnicities within Kakamega, because if he wants to be governor, he should go to Vihiga. So that question comes into the picture. And in a context where in the balance it seems to be tipping in favor of Malala, according to current opinion polling, he decides that he will join Raila Odinga, and he wants the ODM ticket. It's not just Azimio la Umoja. Which ticket is he going to run on Azimio la Umoja if his party leader and his party is not in Azimio la Umoja? He is looking for the ODM ticket, and he does hope that there are enough ODM leaning numbers that over and above his own persuasiveness, he could put together and deliver the gubernatorial seat in Kakamega County. So that cannot be, for me, an index that the party is either getting strong or getting weak. We are entering the season of defections, and boy, are they going to be many. You saw the other day, Ngiricha, Kirinyaga woman county rep, county woman rep, defecting and saying she's now supporting Raila Odinga and Asema, having poured a lot of vitriol upon Odinga and ODM in the past, and Asema in the past. Now, politicians, when the season of elections come, I have said on TV in many parts of this country that when the election season comes, politicians are like dogs in the season of fertility. They don't choose who to go with. They go with anybody, anywhere, anytime. They don't even choose the location. Any place is fine. So there's going to be a lot of that defection. That said and done, Mudavadi has his work cut out very well for him. Before I left ANC and relinquished that position of Secretary General, I gave him a blueprint. If you have listened to me carefully, you must accept that while I may not be very, very good, I have the capacity to fashion some kind of reasonable blueprint. And I believe that the blueprint that I gave my brother Mudavadi was more than just a reasonable blueprint. Has it been followed? My answer is a straight no. It has not. If it had been followed by those I left behind, Mudavadi would be a front runner today. Can he be a front runner again? I think so. He still has an opportunity, because when this plan fails, there's this plan. When that one fails, there's the other plan. I told you I'm a student of war and peace studies. When you are doing a war strategy, you even plan your escape routes. You know that if the war becomes very hot, this will be our escape route. And the best escape route is always in the direction where the fire is hottest. If you go to where it is quiet, you are walking into a trap. You aim your best arsenal in the direction where the fire is severest. That is what Mudavadi now needs to do. If it is about these things which he has been saying, we do not want a leader to be imposed against us, we do not want telephone calls at night, he must stop aiming to miss. In a war, you don't aim to miss, you aim to hit. And he must have his targets very clearly defined. If the target is President Uhuru Kenyatta, Mudavadi must tell him very clearly in public that, Mr. President, stop calling me and telling me to support Raila Odinga, who is your project. Yeah? He should stop calling Raila Odinga an imposed leader. He should clearly tell Raila Odinga, you are a deep state project. And tell President Uhuru Kenyatta that when I wanted to support Raila Odinga, I did not need you to come to tell me to support him. I supported him on my own. And you should tell President Uhuru Kenyatta that the Raila Odinga I supported in 2007 and the one I supported in 2017 is different from the Raila Odinga who is your project. Yeah? and show people why he thinks that it's a different project, because that is where the fire is hottest and where he should aim his toughest arsenal. And having done that, he will say, I also have a bedroom, and even if I'm a very short man, it is my bedroom, and I will not allow anybody in this bedroom, no matter what his height might be.
And if the Mulembe community has to move as one to the ballot in August 9th, will you suggest Musalia Mudavadi as the presidential candidate, and maybe why?
He is at the forefront just now. To find and nurture another presidential candidate within the remaining season is rather difficult. I was always of the opinion that in the country and in the communities, you don't destroy the leaders that you have. They may have certain weaknesses, but you don't destroy them. Whether that leader is Raila Odinga or William Ruto, Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, you don't destroy them. You can point out some of their failings, but you must spare them to survive, because to grow another Mudavadi, regardless of how so useless you think he is, will take you another 15, 20 years. You're not just going to have a person who comes up with the name recognition, with the kind of assets, political assets, wide national appeal, such as he has. And he has the national appeal. Forget about what the naysayers may say about him. What has not been done is to put in place a strategic agenda, a formula that then makes him dash to the forefront. So you can position him. He's certainly a unifying figure. I said of Raila Odinga and William Ruto that they are polarizing. Raila Odinga is not just a polarizing figure, he's a frightful figure. He's a frightening figure. I can sit here in Luyaland and talk about Musalia Mudavadi. I can criticize him and know that I will sleep in my house peacefully. I'll go and walk in a Manyudia peacefully and come back home. You can't do the same of Raila Odinga in Luoland if you are from that community. And you saw even in Kakamega yesterday, they were coming up with a bit of that brand of politics, where Caleb Amisi was telling us that he's going to beat us up if we do not support Raila Odinga. He's saying tutawanyorosha. And George Aladwa is telling us that he's going to beat us up. That is a very frightening politician. And we must ask ourselves the question, people who tell us they are going to beat us up before they have gotten into power, what are they going to do to us once they get into power? William Ruto is a frightening figure. Yeah? He's also a frightful figure. I don't need to elaborate. Musalia Mudavadi is a peace-loving individual, and the country could do with those kinds of politics. We cannot live on this toxic, high-voltage, visceral hate leadership from the beginning of one presidential tenure to its end, and the start of the next one up to its end. We must have a different conversation. And that is where people like Musalia Mudavadi come in. For them to get there, they must also cobble together a campaign formula that helps people to wake up to this. There are very many Kenyans today, my brother, who will tell you, I don't even want to vote. Because of the experience they have had in the past. There are many people in this country today whose composure is waning. The more we move towards August of this year, they are wondering whether they are going to see the same things that they saw in 2007, 2008, 2013, 2017, 2018. Because even as Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga have come together, they have opened up a new war front. And the same kind of violence that we saw in the past can still overtake us this year. So Kenyans will be asking, who are the alternative leaders? And the alternative leaders must stand up to be counted. They should not sit there and wait for Uhuru Kenyatta to say, ati huyu ndio ninataka.
And now, that is, you're trying to say that Musalia Mudavadi are now the alternative leaders?
I don't know why you imagine all the time that I'm trying to say. I am saying. Yes, I am saying that people like Mudavadi are the development conscious and development focused kinds of leaders that the continent of Africa needs. When you look at Musalia Mudavadi, you are seeing a person who is well bred, a person who grew up in a civilized environment. Civilization means simply the ability to be civil, the ability to have good manners. That's the meaning of civilization. It's about civility, that you are not a warlike, confrontational individual. Mudavadi grew up in an environment that taught him to trust people. He grew up in an environment where they taught him about the goodness of human beings, and he trusts human nature. He grew up in an environment where they taught him to be forgiving. He perhaps should have gone into being a clergyman. He would have made a far better clergyman than a lot of the hypocrites that we see around. I have worked closely with Musalia Mudavadi, and I will tell you that the man is polished. The man has a clean heart. The man thinks about others. He's a compassionate individual, and the man means well for those around him and even for this country. And that is why it has always been very easy for him to step back and allow somebody else to proceed. And because he's very trusting, even when Uhuru Kenyatta has called him Madimoni and said it is Madimoni that made him to step down temporarily, when Uhuru has given him indications that he could work with him, he has still trusted him. When Raila Odinga has betrayed him for a period of 4 years, refusing to release political party funds to his party, when Raila Odinga has unleashed a detachment of politicians from ANC and ODM against Musalia Mudavadi, undermined his party, he has still trusted Raila Odinga when Odinga has told him, I'm sorry, we can still work together. So he needs to get to a point where he knows that this is about politics. He is at a dog market. When you go to a market where people are buying and selling dogs, you don't behave as if you are at a chicken market. The rules are different. The rules of the game are different. And so he needs to be a lot more robust. I'm not saying that he should now start being violent and he should start using dirty language. You heard Caleb Wamisi in Kakamega yesterday saying things which I cannot mention even when I'm alone. Yeah, it is not good form. David must remain himself in terms of the fundamental principles, but he must also be a little more robust. We need to see him here in Emanyuria. We need to see him in Shatala here in Butere, Kusabatia. We need to see him in Samisi. We need to see him in Rukuyani, all over the place, asking for our votes. Yeah, first let us get our facts right. Oparanya was not installed. He was declared the spokesperson. And he was declared the spokesperson of the Luhya faction that was represented in Buhungu. That faction can declare him the Luhya spokesperson. Another faction can also declare somebody else a spokesperson. Installation is a process that has got its own norms and procedures that must be followed. He must even accept the nomination, the declaration, and say, I accept. And he must make certain promissory pronouncements. He must even take an oath that he's going to speak for us. You know, I'm a lawyer, and I can tell you these things from the rendition by Mukabi, by Daniel Wako, by John Osogo, by other authorities, Manguriechi, what they have said about installation. Installation is not a joke that you come before a crowd and you say so-and-so is now our spokesperson, and you say we have installed. That is not installation. That is just naming. It's just a proposal. It's an expression of a wish. And he must also command a certain authority over us. He can say certain things and I'll tell him, you have not spoken for me. Does that make me any less lawyer than I am? It doesn't. So he has not been installed, and even those who would seek to install must claim a certain kind of legitimacy for that task and recognition from us. Because when you see me now, next week I'm going to be 64. I'm an elder in this Luhya community. And if I've not been consulted, you can't say that there's a council of elders that has sat and has installed so and so. No, it's not done that way. So he has not been installed as a Luhya spokesperson. He has been named by the Azimio la Umoja assembly that was in Kakamega yesterday as their spokesperson. He can go on to claim to speak for the Luhya. We'll say, okay, that's what you say. It's not what we recognize. He needs even to come here to persuade me, because I was circumcised with him. Yeah? And as his Bakoki, I am not aware that he is my spokesperson. Yeah? The assembly of Bakoki must also bless him and spit on his chest. It's a peerage of elders. So don't joke with the elderhood and with peerage and with spokespersonhood. Sio mchezo ya watoto ya Kwenda. And we also do not name our spokespersons in front of foreigners. Raila Odinga keeps on telling us that he is, I don't know, the 13th or 16th descendant of Wanga. In Luhya, our kingship ties with those who have gone away end after the 6th generation. Yeah? Where you say there's you, the 2nd generation is your child, the 3rd generation is your Mwizukulu, the 4th generation is a Shisoni, the 5th generation is a Shinambundu, the 6th generation is a Shisuku, which is to say we are now enemies. We can even intermarry. Yeah? A daughter of this community who got married in a Lego Boro, when we get to the 6th generation, now a son of this community can marry. And when you come here, you are seen as a foreigner, whether you like it or not. So we are the elders. Some of these people may be old, but they are not yet elders, because elderhood also goes with your possession of the knowledge of the community as the property of the community. And when you don't have it, you are an old person without elderhood. So they also need to come to us to educate them, yeah? As the Luya people would say. So Oparanya will be speaking for a specific faction, and somebody else will speak for another faction, and there will be as many factions. And there's no bad blood between me and Oparanya. His home is here, he's my friend. We were circumcised together. We went to the same schools. We did the things that boys do together. If you want, I could even say things that boys and girls do together. And I respect him as my governor. He has done very well. If he wanted to become president, I would support him. But he's not a Luya spokesperson. Yeah? He can be Atwoli's spokesperson, but he's not a Luya spokesperson. Francis Atwoli is my mother's relative. My mother and his mother were first cousins from a place called Ishirota Ebuala here. And when we have good things and not so good things in this family, he comes, we love him, we respect him, we talk on the phone, but he knows that Oparanya is not an installed Luya spokesperson. He is his spokesperson for his faction, and he knows that he does not have the mandate to install a Luya spokesperson. If people don't know that and they have nobody to tell them, let me be the one to tell them.
Now,
do you think he has the capability, if at all he was installed, for instance, following the procedures in Anatapatapa, do you think he's in a position, he has all the qualities?
Oparanya is eminently qualified to speak for the Luya community. Yeah? He can speak for us, but he's not our spokesperson. He's an intelligent person, he's an educated person, he understands about the community, and I don't think he will be going around calling himself a spokesperson, because he knows what it means to be a spokesperson. To be a spokesperson is like being circumcised. If you go out here and you have an accident in a matatu, God forbid, you have an accident in a matatu and your foreskin comes off, you cannot start smiling around and now telling us, now I'm circumcised, because that skin has come off. It is a whole ceremony that takes you through certain rites of passage. That is the same as being a spokesperson for a community. If you just wake up one morning and certain bandits say that you are now a spokesperson, you come and hold a rioters meeting in a field somewhere, and you say, now we have installed. You haven't. You have not. Yeah? You lack the legitimacy. We will not recognize you, because we do not recognize the institutions that have put you there. That has not happened. Yeah? Yes.
So do you think Musalia Mudavadi failed? He was installed in 2016, on 31st, 2016, 5 years down the line. Do you think he failed? He has not done anything as a spokesperson? Why did they even take it from him?
They have not taken it from him, but he has also not functioned as a spokesperson. I have not seen when he has assembled Luya elders like myself and others, senior elders and junior elders, to talk to him. I have not seen the council of elders that he has put together, because he should say, this is my council of the wise. When you are the king, you have people who sit in your cabinet, in the innermost sanctum of the cabinet, who advise you, whose counsel you seek. I have not seen him do that. I have not seen their work, Mudavadi. And therefore, he has lost a golden opportunity to also rise to the occasion and lead. And that is why people are now playing around with that. And I think it also bears saying that Mudavadi was first made Luya spokesperson in 1998 by a council of elders. And I do not understand how Atwoli again installed him as a Luya spokesperson in 2016. That has not been explained to me. It confuses me. Whether this second one was just some kind of dress validation of the earlier one, I cannot understand. You would need to look for him to ask him about the two. But he has not used that opportunity to harness us, to make us feel that we must be one community and we must move as a massed community under his leadership. Hence the kind of things that these people are doing. But even if a proper ceremonial process were followed in Kakamega yesterday, the 31st of December 2021, and provided that there were foreigners, outsiders in that function, it loses its sanctity. The coronation of a Luya spokesperson is an esoteric function. Esoteric. Esoteric means exclusive, special institution, that you do the kind of thing that the Mount Kenya community did with the Speaker Justin Muturi. You take this person away from the people and you install him into the institution of the secrecy of the community, that he knows things that people do not know in the community, and that he is able to invoke and speak with the spirits of the departed, of the ancestors, that they give him divine guidance, and that he has other people around him. So you don't stand in a stadium, in a football stadium, where you have a cocktail of rioters and celebratory characters, and make some pronouncement, and someone becomes the spokesperson for the community. No, as elders, we must protect the sanctity of the community and say it is not done that way. And therefore, huu ni mchezo wa watoto.
So maybe as we come to an end, in the recent days we've seen Right Honorable Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto tirelessly seeking votes from the western region. And if at all Musalia Mudavadi will not reach the August 9th battle, I mean ballot. Who of the two do you think will carry the day in Western Kenya?
It's very difficult to look into that crystal ball and tell you that it will be so and so, that it will be Raila or it will be Ruto, because that decision will be determined by the dynamics of the day. And the dynamics of the day are going to include, for example, for Raila, who he names as his running mate, and who the other person Ruto names as his running mate. If Raila names Oparanya his running mate, then he is assured of the Luya vote. If Ruto names somebody, I don't know who, his running mate, maybe Mudavadi or somebody else, then he's also assured of the Luya vote. But it's not an easy decision to make, because as you name this Luya your running mate, in a hugely tribalized country, you are offending somebody else, and you must weigh the benefits against the demerits, the merits against the demerits. That the Mount Kenya vote is hovering above these people's heads and it's watching them. So Raila Odinga goes to the mountain, he names a running mate from the mountain, he has lost the Luya vote. Forget about the crowd that was in Buhungu yesterday, comprising both the real Luya voter and the imported visitors from the neighborhood. The Luya will not vote for him if he names a person from outside this community as his running mate. And the same is true of Ruto. If he goes to the mountain and he takes somebody and says, huyu ndi running mate yangu, Mudavadi yuko sijui wapi, Ruto will not get the vote. So it's very difficult for me to tell you today what it will be like. We have to wait. The jury must stay out there for some time, and I don't envy either of these people. And that's why we keep telling Mudavadi, get your act together. You are still in this race.
Okay, thank you, Daktari, for your time. That has been Dr. Barrack Muluka, a political analyst and also a renowned publisher in the country. And it's all been about 2022 political succession and also the state of politics in the larger Western Kenya region. And thank you, our viewer, for staying with us till another time when we shall meet. My name is Arnold Didi. Remember to subscribe, to share, and follow our channel. Thank you for staying with us.